Okay, welcome to a quick demo to show off both ways we can make mock-ups using our pictogram, both with Photoshop mock-up templates and manipulating photography in Photoshop. So you can see we're starting off with our final pictogram in Adobe Illustrator. This is my Ethiopian wolf. When we use a Photoshop mock-up template, what we're using is a Photoshop file that has already been created by another designer. It's a Photoshop file, and you can just place your flat art into this document and it'll look like, in this example, there's this t-shirt, right? And you can see all the wrinkles in the fabric, and that drag your project here looks like it's integrated into the t-shirt, like it's really there, right? That is what a Photoshop mockup does for you. So it does a lot of the work for you. They're super handy. There's a ton out there. There's plenty of websites that you can go to. Some are free, some are paid. mockupworld.co is one of my favorite places to go because it's mostly all free templates and they're fairly easy to work with. So you can see this is the website. You can kind of search by categories, just kind of see what's new. I'm going to search, like a tote bag might be nice for our pictogram. Let's search. So the only thing with any of these websites is there's a ton of ads, and you have to just be very mindful as you go through that you don't accidentally click off onto an ad and lose your way. Alright, so this is a nice tote bag. These all say free. So let's try this one out. Okay. Now, this looks like what we want. We're looking for a layered PSD file or a layered Photoshop file. That's the type of file you're looking for. Alright, so I'm going to hit free download. Once you hit free download, it's going to take you off to another site where this template actually lives. It might be Behance, it might be Graphic Burger, it might be any other website. So now you have to kind of be wary to not click on any one of these many ads. So like this is an ad. See, there's a little X. That means it's an ad. This is an ad. See that X? I'm going to scroll down. This is the actual thing. This is an ad. See the X? Alright, so let's download this. Alright, so if you get a bunch of pop-ups, again, just be very careful that you don't accidentally go to some other website and end up through an ad and kind of lose your way. Alright, this said thanks, your download's starting. And you can see that it downloaded. Okay, so I'm going to open it. It will download to my downloads folder. You're going to unzip it. You'll end up with a folder. And you're looking for a Photoshop file. So this is the canvas bag we just downloaded. Okay, so here's this canvas bag Photoshop mockup template. This is a t-shirt that I already had on my computer from something else. And we can look at both of these because every template file that you download will be a little bit different because they're all just created by designers. So everybody does it a little bit differently. Let's look at the tote bag first. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is get your layers panel out where you can really see what's happening. So there's not a lot here. There's a bunch of things inside this folder that you don't need to worry about. That's what's making it actually exist. See, it turns stuff on and off. I can see what's happening. There's a little texture on the background, a little fuzzy noise. You can turn that off if you don't like it. Now you can really see the texture. There's a background color, so I can change that. I could either just paint bucket in a color if I wanted. Okay, so that's nice. Or I could have double clicked on this layer and gone to the layer style and done a color overlay. That changes the color as well. So there's many ways to do the same thing in Photoshop. Your choice. Alright, so either way. Alright, so now the background is a nice bright blue. Now, the thing you're really looking for is this layer here. It says your logo here. Double click on the layer thumbnail. And on this layer thumbnail, this little rectangle, you can see there's an inset icon of like a box over a page. That's what you need. That means there's a smart object here, and if I click on this layer icon, it's going to open up the secondary file, which ends in a PSB. This is where you're going to put your pictogram, and then it's going to magically appear on that canvas tote bag. So let's go back to Illustrator. All right, so here's my wolf. Let's see. I don't need the back. I'm not going to take the background. I think I just want the wolf. So I'm going to move him over to the gray so we can actually see what we're dealing with here. All right, so I don't necessarily want this black eye on my tote bag. I think I want it transparent. So that's pretty easy to accomplish. Depending on how you built your animal, now would be a good time to clean up your file. If you created multiple white shapes to make your silhouette, you're going to select all those shapes, and you're going to go to the Pathfinder tool. If you don't have it open, it's under Window, Pathfinder. It looks like this. Don't need this. Okay, Pathfinder. So if I have all my white shapes selected, I can use this first icon which says Unite, and that will combine all of my white shapes into one white shape. I have this black eye. It's probably on top of the white shape, but just in case, I'll go right click, arrange, bring to front. So now it's definitely the top layer. Now if I select both the white wolf and the black eye, I can use the second icon which says minus front, which will remove, basically like cut out the top shape out of the bottom shape. So let's do that. And now you can see that black eye is just a negative space of the white shape. So that is what I want. See, looks black there, but it's really see-through. Okay, so I'm going to save this file. I'm going to make my wolf a little bit bigger so I can bring him in as pixel art. So I'm just holding down Shift as I scale up. Okay, I'm going to save him again. Copy. So edit, copy, Control C, Command C, however you want to copy. Back into Photoshop, I'm going to paste. You can paste him as a smart object, at least I'm still vector if you want, or you can just bring him in as pixel art as long as he's big enough. So I made him pretty big, so I'm just going to bring him in as pixel art. Let's hit OK. Yep, he's pretty big. He's filling up the whole canvas. So hit the checkbox. All right, he's here. I no longer need this placeholder layer, so I can delete that. All right, now I have this white wolf. He's going on a canvas bag, so I might want to change his color. Let's double click this layer. Let's see, we had a blue background. Maybe we'll make him like a pretty purple wolf. Okay. Okay. Save. Why can't you find the background? Okay, so save. File cannot be found. Okay. So now if I go back to my Photoshop file, you can see the wolf is right there. Looks kind of cool, right? And you can see all the folds in the fabric. Looking neat. If I wanted to change his scale or his placement, I would just come back into this PSD file and kind of move him around. Once I hit save, you can see that is working. So obviously like something's weird with the file like that, so I might have to keep him inside this artboard. But this is a Photoshop layer, so I can paint or do whatever I want inside this Photoshop layer to manipulate my wolf to make him look as good as he can possibly look. Every time I hit save, I don't know why I'm getting this error. I think there's a problem with this template. You can see it changes in here. Alright. So once you're happy with this, you would save this Photoshop file, and then you could save it out as a JPEG or a PNG or whatever you'd like to save it as. So if I go under Save As, Photoshop file, I can put it, in my working file. I can do Save a copy, and I can save it as a JPEG and submit it to Canvas. If you want something a little smaller to stick on your social media, just do quick export for PNG. That'll give you a smaller file. You could throw it up on social if you wanted to share it with your friends. Alright, this is just another Photoshop template. You can see it works. It looks a little bit different. It's maybe not as obvious, put your stuff here. But there's a photo of this guy. This is his shirt. This is your design. This is the wrinkles of the shirt, it looks like. Alright, so if I want to change the t-shirt color, that will be this. Just double clicked on the layer, and I can make the shirt whatever color I want. This has that symbol for smart object of the design. Click that. It's thinking. Here we go. Alright, so I can delete all this. You always need one layer in a document, so I can't delete that layer without putting my wolf in here. So I'm going to copy him. I'm going to put him in here. I'm going to make him a little smaller. Okay, so unlike in Illustrator where you had to hold Shift to scale stuff proportionately, Photoshop is annoyingly the opposite, so you don't hold Shift to scale stuff proportionately, so just keep that in mind. Alright, so maybe I want a little wolf on the breast area. Let's see how that works. I'm going to hit save. Let's check it out. Oh, here's my t-shirt guy. Oh, there we go. That's kind of cool. Maybe it's a little high. Save. Okay, so you can kind of see how you can mess around with this. You can add text here if you wanted. Washington National Zoo. Too big, too big, too big. Right, so however you want to design your shirt, every time you hit save, you can come back to the Photoshop file and see it in action. Okay, and then again, once you're happy with it, save out the Photoshop file, save out a JPEG or a PNG to submit. So that's the Photoshop templates. Have fun with those. Again, some of them are better than others. So if you get one and you open it and it seems weird, just go find something else. So the other thing that we can do is we can open up existing images in Photoshop and add our pictogram to that. So this is a photo of the Washington National Zoo back in the 70s when this pictogram symbols were first developed. And you can see there's a totem, that's what they're called, with a bunch of animals. And let's say I wanted to swap one of these animals out for my wolf. Well, first I'm going to zoom in so I can actually see what we're doing here. Alright, so now we're going to kind of just use some basic Photoshop skills to try to get our guy in one of these boxes. Alright, so the first thing, and every picture is going to be a little different, so I'll just kind of talk about a couple different tools that you might want to use to do this. So in this situation, I'm going to replace that kiwi bird with my guy. Or maybe I'll replace this big crane. Oh, he's a little bit bigger. Alright, so I'm going to use this polygonal lasso tool, which is under the lasso tool. Every time you click, it locks that point in place, so I'm just sort of tracing the outline of where I want my guy to go. In Photoshop, general best practice is try not to delete stuff so that you can always go back. Right, so instead of just deleting out this crane shape, instead I think I'm just going to make a new layer and I'm going to eyedropper in this green color and I'm going to fill the paint bucket green. Alright, so now if I deselect, I at least now have a blank space to work with. So that's already looking pretty good. Okay, and I can kind of close this layer out and look like, okay, I'm gonna have to add some shadow back in to make it look realistic. Maybe I'll go do that now before I forget about it. So I'm just copying the dark shadow line with this polygonal lasso tool, which I think is a great quick tool to use. Alright, so now on another blank layer, I'm going to get some, let's see, eyedropper, this dark green, black color. I'm going to fill. So now I have, this layer is the shadow. I can turn that on and off, you can see it. And I can change the opacity so it's not so dark. We'll leave it at 100% for now. Alright, so now we got to put our wolf in here. Back to Illustrator, copy the wolf, come back to Photoshop, paste the wolf, put him in as pixels. He's pretty huge. So let me zoom out for a second. Alright, let's make him a lot smaller. So transform, which is edit, transform, or Command T. Get these sliders. I'm going to scale him to approximately the right size. Conveniently, we made him in a square. Okay, and I'm going to make him look like he matches the other animals and how they are fitting in their squares. Alright, that looks pretty good. Let me zoom back in. Again, in Photoshop, you do not hold Shift to scale things proportionately, unlike Photoshop. Unlike Illustrator. Alright, so I think he looks good. This is the wolf. I can double click these layers if I want to label them. If that helps you keep organized. This is the shadow. So to make the shadow a little bit see-through so that I can see the top of the wolf's ear, I could try changing the opacity, but that makes the whole shadow lighter. I can also use these layer effects where it says normal. And all of these are going to do something a little bit different. As I hover over them, you can see it's kind of changing. So you can kind of try some of those different ones out. Find something that you think works. I think I'm going to go with multiply, and then I can even change the opacity as well. Alright, that looks, I think, pretty good. Let me zoom out and see how it's looking. Oh, that looks pretty realistic, right guys? The last thing we're going to do with this wolf totem, I'm going to zoom back in, is I noticed that the corner of the wolf right here is poking outside of the stone soft circle. So there's an easy way to fix that. I want to kind of tuck the wolf inside this green frame that I originally made. So to do that, I'm just going to right click on the wolf layer and hit create clipping mask. And now you can see his corner has been tucked back into that green shape we made. So if I zoom back out, now he looks even better. Alright. Another thing you can do is go to some of these websites that have free high quality photography, and you can search for whatever you want. Okay, here we go. Trash can. Alright, so I'm going to download this. Unsplash has a bunch of, again, free high quality images. So that is downloading. I'm going to stick it in this project folder that I've made so that I don't lose track of it. Okay, so let's open this in Photoshop. So there's two ways we can add our pictogram to this trash can. We can do it the old way, and then we can use the actual cool tool. So I'm going to show you both ways. First, I need to decide what I'm putting on this trash can. So I saw this earlier and I was thinking, oh, what if I put the pictogram of the wolf on the side and maybe like an arrow as if the wolf exhibit is off to the right. So back in Illustrator, I'm just going to make that real quick so I can bring it all in as one thing. Alright, so I didn't really save what we had before, so I'm going to have to recreate something kind of quickly. All right, so I'm going to make it all in white. I think that'll look nice on the black trash can. Okay, we'll give it a nice little border. Put my wolf back in here. Again, now I'm an illustrator, so I have to hold down Shift to scale things proportionately. All right, move this to the front. Copy, make an image mask to get the wolf cropped. Put the border back. I made this arrow. Make the arrow a little chunkier. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, so I'm going to select all this, copy it, come up here, paste it, pixels. All right, I'm going to, now that I'm in Photoshop, I'm not holding Shift and I'm just scaling it. I want it to be, you know, about this big, about here. Okay, however, as you can tell, the trash can is at an angle and the pictogram that we just made is not. So first I'm going to show you the unprofessional way to do it, but sometimes this works too. So if I go up under Edit, Transform, there are a bunch of different transforming tools here. You can try all of these. You can skew, distort, and perspective, and warp. I'm just going to do distort. And I can kind of try to match the perspective angle of the trash can by sort of following these lines visually to try to make it look correct. I have to obviously pull that in because it's super stretched. Alright, and whenever I think that looks pretty good, make it a little bit bigger now and put it where I want to put it. Alright. It's not bad. So I could save this out, and maybe if there was a bunch of them up here, that would look kind of cool. Alright, so that was just using the Edit, Transform. There's free transform, and there's a few different tools in here you can kind of mess around with. Delete this layer. Alright, there's this other thing which is called the Vanishing Point filter, which is pretty neat, so I'm going to show you that real quick as well. So again, I'm just going to paste in my wolf thing. I'm going to kind of put it, maybe I'll put it up higher this time, where I want it, in about the right size. Alright, now I'm going to just copy this, Control A, Control C, Control D to deselect. Okay, I'm on a PC, that's why I keep saying Control. Command if you're on the Mac, turn the layer off. Alright, so this is my wolf, just so we know what it is. This is nothing. Alright, so I'm going to use this new layer. Under Filter, Vanishing Point. So this is the cool tool that we're going to use for this. So Filter, Vanishing Point. Okay, so now we're going to basically draw a grid. I'm going to draw the grid just really where I want my pictogram to be to try to make it as accurate as possible. So I want it somewhere in this vicinity. And I'm trying to just match basically the edges of the surface. So now you can see Photoshop is figuring out the perspective and the distortion for me. Alright, so when I think I'm happy, I'm going to paste in my wolf guy. Oh, he came in up here. Don't know why. Alright, and now you can see as he gets moved into this plane, he has been manipulated electronically to fit the space. And even if I pull him out here, he's still following that perspective. So that's pretty cool. Alright. He doesn't really fit there. How about if I'll stick him here for now? Alright. That looks kind of cool. Pretty realistic looking. Okay, hit OK. Back in Photoshop, and there he is. I can probably move him up here. Well, that doesn't match anymore. Alright, so undo. Alright, so he looks pretty good there. If I want to make him a little bit smaller, I can probably do that. You can hold down Option or Alt to scale all the corners simultaneously. Alright, that looks pretty cool. Alright, so that's another way to, again, take your art and just place it on any photo that you download. So the tool we used was Filter, Vanishing Point. Alright, so have fun, be creative, and mess around a little bit. Good luck.